Chosen one, pause for a moment and recognize where you are right now. Not just physically, but spiritually. This is not another message passing through your awareness. This is a moment of alignment, a precise intersection between readiness and remembrance. Something has just shifted, and even if you can't fully articulate it yet, your spirit knows. You did not click, scroll, or arrive here by coincidence. You were guided. There are moments when eternity presses gently into time, when the unseen reaches forward and taps the conscious mind. And this is one of those moments. What is opening now has nothing to do with luck, trends, or timing as the world defines it. This is divine timing, sacred timing, the kind that doesn't repeat itself often and never arrives unannounced. You may feel a stillness settling over you, or a quiet alertness waking up inside your chest. That is not imagination. That is recognition. Something ancient within you is responding to a call it has heard before, long before this lifetime. This space you are in right now is not passive. It is active. It is an invitation to stay present, to listen beyond the words, to receive what cannot be forced or rushed. This message is not meant to entertain you or convince you of anything. It is meant to meet you exactly where you are and activate what is already prepared. If you feel drawn to remain, it is because your spirit understands that something is being handed to you, not taken, not earned in this moment, but unlocked through alignment. Engage with this moment consciously. Affirm it internally. Anchor it externally if you feel led. When you participate, you signal readiness. And readiness is what allows timeless things to move into form. Stay with this. What begins here is not small, and it is not temporary. Chosen one, I invite you now to seal your alignment. Comment your warmest wishes below and type 777 to complete the spiritual circuit. The number 777 signifies divine closure, the end of one cycle, and readiness for the next. It's not superstition. It's sacred symbolism. When you type that number, you're not just engaging digitally. You are transmitting faith into the frequency of creation. What has just been unlocked within you is not a reward you can lose, nor a state that fades with circumstances. It is not an achievement, a title, or a material upgrade. What you have accessed is a timeless essence, a divine code that exists beyond physical reality and outside the logic of the world. This is not something created by effort. It is something remembered through alignment. It existed before your struggles, before your questions, before your current identity ever took shape. This essence does not age, does not weaken, and does not respond to fear or scarcity. It cannot be threatened because it was never borrowed. It is indestructible because it was never built by human systems. While the world trains people to chase external markers of success, what you've unlocked operates on an entirely different level. External success can be lost, taken, or outgrown. Internal activation becomes legacy. This is why this moment does not feel loud, even though it is powerful. Timeless things do not announce themselves dramatically, they settle deeply. This essence does not demand attention, yet it commands alignment. It is not here to impress others. It is here to anchor you. You may notice that your desires begin to change, that what once motivated you feels shallow or incomplete. This is because surface-level gain can no longer satisfy something eternal. What you carry now does not rush outcomes, yet it shapes them. It does not compete, yet it prevails. This is sacred inheritance, not entitlement. It is the kind of inner authority that cannot be granted by people and cannot be revoked by circumstances. And now that it has been activated, it will begin to influence everything you touch, quietly and permanently. You were not chosen because you avoided hardship. You were chosen because you endured it without losing your essence. Many souls are gifted, but few are willing to remain intact through betrayal, confusion, isolation, and delay. You walked through seasons that would have emptied others of faith. You faced moments where clarity disappeared, where progress stalled, where trust felt dangerous, and yet you continued. You adapted without becoming bitter. You learned without becoming hardened. Every setback, every closed door, every unexplained loss was not punishment. It was preparation. You were being trained to carry something that cannot survive in unstable hands. The endurance you developed was not accidental. It refined your discernment. It strengthened your obedience to inner truth. You learned how to keep moving without applause, how to trust without confirmation, how to remain aligned when nothing around you made sense. This is why you no longer need permission. The season of asking has ended. You have crossed into self-authorization, not arrogance, but recognition. Recognition of what you survived. Recognition of what you preserved. Recognition of what you were being prepared for long before you understood it. You did not break when tested. You did not abandon yourself when delayed. And because of that, this activation responded to you. Not everyone is chosen to unlock this level of awareness because not everyone is willing to pay the internal cost. You already have. Once this activation settles, your experience of time begins to change. You may notice that things start aligning without force, that moments feel precise rather than rushed, that intuition speaks faster than thought. Time no longer feels like an enemy or a deadline. It begins to cooperate. This is because you are no longer operating from urgency. You are operating from alignment. Your instincts sharpen, not because you are trying harder, but because the noise has quieted. You simply know. Decisions that once felt heavy become clear. You stop over-explaining because truth no longer needs defense. You begin to see beneath surface behavior into underlying patterns. The veil lifts, not dramatically, but unmistakably. Hidden dynamics reveal themselves. Motives become transparent. Opportunities feel familiar before they arrive. This is not fantasy or imagination. This is perception catching up to alignment. You may notice that others do not always understand your certainty, but you are no longer required to translate what was revealed to you internally. Some truths are meant to guide you, not convince others. And as you move with this knowing, reality begins to respond. Not instantly, but inevitably. With this shift comes a profound reinterpretation of your past. Not the events themselves, but their meaning. Pain that once felt random begins to make sense. Rejection reveals itself as redirection. Delays show their hidden mercy. You realize that many doors closed not to deny you, but to protect what was forming within you. What once felt like failure reveals itself as filtering, removing paths that could not sustain who you were becoming. This awareness brings unexpected lightness. Old wounds lose their emotional charge, not because they are ignored, but because they are understood. Healing happens without force. Shame dissolves without confrontation. You stop identifying with outdated versions of yourself because your story no longer ends where the pain occurred. You are not rewriting history, you are reclaiming truth. The weight you carried begins to lift naturally, as if it was never meant to be permanent. This is what happens when timeless awareness touches memory. Identity upgrades without effort, because alignment does not argue, it replaces. Once the internal shift stabilizes, the external world begins responding before you ever say a word. People will feel your energy the moment you enter a space, even if they cannot explain what has changed. Some will be drawn to you effortlessly, sensing clarity, safety, or depth without understanding why. Others may feel unsettled, not because you have done anything wrong, but because your presence now reflects truth they have avoided. This polarization is not something you create intentionally, it is a natural effect of alignment. You have become a mirror. Your calm exposes chaos. Your certainty highlights confusion. Your authenticity challenges pretense. Conversations around you begin to change. Words carry more weight when you speak, and silence carries even more when you don't. Influence begins to flow not through force or performance, but through presence. You will notice that you no longer feel comfortable shrinking to keep others at ease. Returning to invisibility feels unnatural, almost impossible. This is not ego, it is integration. You are no longer willing to abandon your frequency to fit environments that cannot hold it. Average no longer feels safe. Dimming yourself feels like disconnection. And without effort, your life begins signaling that you have crossed a threshold that cannot be uncrossed. As this awareness deepens, your sense of purpose expands beyond personal success. You begin to recognize that what you are carrying was never meant to end with you. Your choices now echo forward, shaping paths you may never personally witness. Titles, recognition, and applause lose their grip as motivation because something deeper has taken root. You are no longer driven by validation, you are guided by impact. Your life itself becomes a message, a reference point for others searching for proof that transformation is possible without compromise. You are not here to persuade or perform, you are here to embody. Through your integrity, resilience, and clarity, you become confirmation for those who are still questioning their own calling. This is how legacy forms, not through noise, but through consistency, not through explanation, but through evidence. You are becoming a blueprint, a living signal that alignment is real and attainable. And whether you realize it yet or not, people are watching, not to copy you, but to remember what is possible for themselves. From this point forward, the way you move through life changes. You stop chasing outcomes and start aligning with direction. Effort gives way to precision. You no longer beg, force, or overextend to secure what is meant for you. What belongs to you recognizes you without persuasion. This does not mean life becomes effortless, but it becomes intentional. You act with awareness instead of urgency. You respond instead of react. You begin trusting that movement rooted in alignment travels further than movement fueled by anxiety. Rewards stop matching the struggle of the season you are in and begin reflecting the depth of what you carry. Chronology loses its authority over timing. You realize that divine timing is not late, it is exact. You may move less than before, yet accomplish more. This is not stagnation, it is efficiency, guided by clarity. The push dissolves, the pull strengthens, and suddenly life feels less like resistance and more like cooperation. As you settle into this new way of being, synchronicity becomes common rather than rare. You meet the right people at moments that feel almost scripted. You overhear conversations that answer questions you were carrying silently. Opportunities arise through alignment rather than effort. To the outside world, it may look like luck or coincidence, but you know better. This is what happens when faith matures into rhythm. Inspiration may ignite temporary emotion, but revelation restructures identity. You are no longer simply inspired, you are informed at a deeper level. Your decisions carry less doubt because they are rooted in knowing rather than hoping. You begin to recognize the difference between something that excites you and something that is assigned to you. And once you recognize that difference, your path becomes clearer, quieter, and more powerful at the same time. With this alignment comes a quiet shedding of the old self, not through struggle, but through irrelevance. Versions of you that were built around fear, approval, or survival begin to fall away naturally. Shame loosens its grip because it no longer has a story to attach itself to. Anxiety fades as insecurity dissolves. You stop operating from emotional reaction and start moving from eternal roots. The need to prove yourself evaporates. Miracles stop feeling like isolated events and begin to feel like environmental conditions. Breakthrough becomes atmosphere, not interruption. You realize that fear and doubt cannot survive where alignment is stable. This is not the birth of someone new. It is the emergence of who you have always been beneath the noise. The identity that once struggled to surface now stands without effort. And from this place, everything else begins to reorganize around you. What is happening within you does not stop at you. Once alignment reaches this level, it naturally extends outward, touching the lives of those connected to your path. Without trying to teach, convince, or correct anyone, your presence begins to guide. People feel calmer around you, more honest, more willing to confront truths they have avoided. You become a signal rather than a speaker, a source of reassurance rather than instruction. Your life starts answering questions for others simply by being observed. This is not influence built on performance or charisma. It is authority rooted in coherence. You do not need to announce what you carry. It transmits quietly. Breakthroughs begin occurring in the lives of people around you, not because you pushed them forward, but because your stability created safety. This is the power of quiet alignment. Loud validation fades in importance as quiet impact deepens. And the more grounded you become, the more naturally others rise in your presence. This awakening did not begin when you became aware of it. It began in moments no one applauded, in choices made when no one was watching, in silence that felt lonely but necessary. You were being prepared through isolation, patience, and unseen obedience. There were seasons when you felt emptied, stripped of certainty, comfort, or direction. And those seasons were not punishment. They were carving. You were being hollowed out so something greater could take root. What you carry now could not have entered a crowded, noisy, or ego-driven space. It required humility. It required surrender. It required you to let go of identities that no longer fit. This was not entitlement, it was spiritual earning. The process refined your integrity and strengthened your capacity. And now, what fills you carries weight, because the vessel was made ready. Now that this alignment is active, a choice presents itself. You can shrink back into familiarity, or you can rise fully into what has been activated. Comfort will invite you to stay small, but alignment will call you forward. From this point on, You will notice that environments no longer shape you. You shape them. Rooms adjust when you enter. Conversations shift. Dynamics change. Magnetism replaces pursuit. You no longer chase connection, opportunity, or recognition. What aligns with your frequency finds you. Friction dissolves where flow takes over. This does not mean resistance disappears entirely, but it no longer controls you. You move with intention instead of hesitation, and every step taken in alignment strengthens what has already been unlocked. This is not a temporary phase or emotional high. Something permanent has settled into place. The temporary no longer dictates your direction. You stop asking for what you are aligned with and begin receiving it naturally. There is a sense of being at home within yourself that cannot be disrupted by external uncertainty. You are no longer measuring your progress against timelines that were never meant for you. You are not ahead. You are not behind. You are precisely on divine time. And as a result, reality begins adjusting around you. Circumstances reorganize. Paths open. Resistance loses its grip. Not because you demanded change, but because alignment carries authority. The world responds when something timeless arrives. As you move forward, the landscape of your life may feel unfamiliar. Old routines, tolerances, and identities will continue falling away, and that can feel disorienting at first. But unfamiliar does not mean wrong. It means accurate. You are no longer walking paths built for survival. You are walking paths designed for expression. Some connections will fade. Some doors will close gently. Others will open with surprising ease. There is no return to silence or shrinking, because awareness cannot be undone. Courage is still required, not to activate this frequency, but to stabilize it, to live it consistently, to trust it when it challenges comfort. But you are equipped now. You always were. What has been unlocked is not fragile. It is rooted. And as it settles, it will continue shaping your life in ways that feel not just powerful, but true.